we're going to learn is how to create a texture brush using Define Brush preset in Adobe Photoshop. You need to open one of your photographs of the textures that we experimented with when we used the printing rollers, scraping the ink and scraping the acrylic. So here I've opened one image of a splatter that I created using ink, and I've just tried different variants where they've been rotated. So on my layers I have these selected. I'm just going to hide two of them for now, and also the type. So on this splatter layer here, I'm going to rasterize the layer, and now with this layer selected and only this visible on the A3 document, that is 300 pixels per inch, I'm going to go to Edit, Define Brush Preset. So I'm basically making a brush. So I can name it, let's call this Splatter Example. The number's here if you remember it, but that doesn't matter, you just need to remember the name. And it shows you a preview of the splatter brush here. So when you click OK, I've now made this brush. It comes up on the brush panel, which is shortcut B. Over here, your brush tool. You can click on this settings panel, which brings up your brush settings and your brushes. If you click on brushes, you will find, if you scroll down to it, that splatter brush. So here it is, Splatter Example. And I can paint with this. So I can scale up my brush to any size I want. I can change how strong the opacity is. So that's in black. If I reduce it, it will be grayscale. I can change the color of my brush. So if I want to do a design that has color, and I can start to include physical textures. Now what if I want to use that texture to cut through something? So I've now made this. I'm going to put some type. Doesn't matter what color it is. I'm just going to put some type here. Scale it up so you can see it. So I've got some type. It's not rasterized yet, so that means I can still change the color. Double click on the T, choose any color I want. So say I wanted to switch it to this, but now I'm ready to edit it. So I'm going to double click. I can change things here, or I can right click rasterize. Now I'm going to use this brush, but instead of using the brush tool, I'm going to use the eraser tool. So I could use the brush tool and paint over it, and because that is 50%, you can see through it, and if this one was 100%, I'm going to block parts of the type. So I could use the texture this way. Another way is with the eraser tool, E, shortcut. Same thing, you've got the brush panel at the top, and you can find your brush. So I'm going to use the same brush, Splatter Example. And if it's on 100% on this type layer, if I layer over to it and I click, it will delete that area. Now I can scale this up and delete, and as you can see, it has physically cut through and created a visual texture on the typography. You can change the opacity of the brush so I don't have to delete as much. If I click 27, say I scale this bit down, I want to delete this area of the E. I click once, I'll zoom in for you. It's only deleted part of it, so it's become a lighter, like a tint of pink. I can click again and again and again, and every time I click, it's deleting, in this example, 27%. So as I keep deleting, eventually it'll get to 100%. Maybe I don't want to delete through type, maybe I want to delete through a shape. So I can make a shape with the shape tool, or the pen tool. So let's use the pen tool, so I can make a random shape, make sure it's set to shape. I'm going to have no stroke, and I'm going to click and make sure my shape joins up. So there's my shape. I need to rasterize my shape, and I can do the exact same thing on this shape using the eraser tool, E. I can cut through, let's increase the opacity to 100. I can cut through that shape. And now with this layer, because it's above that type, put it behind that type. And as you can see, I can scale and rotate that. That is what I'd like to start experimenting with on a A3 document, is how to create the texture brush using the Define Brush preset. Edit Define Brush preset. and apply that texture to typography and shapes.